I'd like to start off by introducing two Teamsters from UPS. First, I'd like to introduce Rachel Howard. Rachel?
Hi. Hi, good afternoon. My name is Rachel Howard, and I'm a so-called part-timer at UPS. I have worked at UPS in Burnsville, Maryland for 8 years. I deliver and pick up next-day air packages. There are many weeks that I have been at UPS that I've worked 60 and 65 hours a week, but UPS calls me a part-timer and pays me part-time wages. I only qualify for half a pension that a full-time worker gets. When I started with the company, management promised me a full-time job within 2 years. I'm now in my 8th year and still waiting for a full-time job. If UPS could combine a lot of its part-time jobs into full-time jobs, people who are called part-timers at UPS would have full-time jobs. I have a 15-month-old son at home, and I want a full-time job and full-time wages and a full-time pension so I can spend some time teaching my son my values. This strike is for him and for American families everywhere, and I'm willing to sacrifice everything I have, and as long as it takes, to make sure that Americans know we cannot have a part-time America anymore. It's enough is enough. It's time we raise our children and not everyone else. Thank you.
Very good. And next we have Zeke Wineglass. Zeke?
Hi, my name is Ezekiel Wineglass. I am a feeder driver at the Burtonsville Hub UPS in Maryland. That means that I take packages from the Burtonsville Hub to hubs and centers around in Maryland. In my 33 years with UPS, people like me have helped this company to grow. This growth should open up jobs for people that come after me. That's my belief. But the company has started contracting out feeder jobs. Now, that means that there are days that I see many carriers that come into our building carrying out UPS packages and loads, so much so that sometimes you can't even keep a count on it. Now, I'm looking forward to retiring soon, after 33 years with this company. So the company's proposal to take over my pension plan scares me. Now, when the union gets extra money and so forth, they give it into the pension plan. We get benefits that's going to benefit the people who have worked for this money. You think that UPS is going to give it to us when they get extra money and all of that? No, it's going into the pockets of the CEOs. Now, I am prepared to be out here as long as possible, because to see that people that are coming behind me and that we get what we really deserve. We put in a lot of work with this company, and I believe that we deserve the best. Thank you.
I think you've just heard what this strike is really all about, if you haven't heard during the past week or so. It's certainly not just about Teamsters. It's not about Congress or Bill Clinton. It's about people like Zeke and Rachel, who give their blood, sweat, and tears to make UPS that $1 billion in profit. This morning, and standing before you today, the Teamsters General Executive Board unanimously adopted a resolution of complete and total support for the 185,000 Teamsters at UPS. The resolution calls on all Teamster local unions to support the picket lines, to reach out into the community, to raise money for special hardship cases, The resolution also supports the arrangements between the Teamster Union, the AFL-CIO, and other unions to establish a defense fund for this battle. The defense fund will cover strike benefits for a long strike if necessary. We estimate the strike benefits will cost about $10 million per week. As I have said over and over again, if UPS is ready to negotiate a contract that provides that good jobs that American workers need, we're ready to get that job done. On the other hand, if UPS is determined to rob the future for American working families, the labor movement will do whatever it takes to fight back. UPS should stop trying to dictate and start trying to negotiate. The company is so committed to this part-time concept that now they've even shifted to part-time negotiating. That is never going to produce an agreement. UPS should stop asking the government to take sides against American workers. They should stop asking the president to bail them out and start asking what the company can do to provide these good, decent, full-time jobs. They should stop trying to take the workers' retirement money to use for executive bonuses and salaries. UPS doesn't need to replace its workers. It needs to replace its strategy of low-wage part-time jobs. Part-timer with a family of 3 who makes the big $16,000 that the top ivory tower has been talking about, with a family of 3 qualifies for food stamps. America wants to move people from welfare to work. But with these low-wage part-time jobs, UPS is doing just the opposite. They're moving people from work to welfare. Last week, a group of big retail companies like Kmart and Sears asked the White House to take sides by stepping in and stopping the strike. Well, by God, big corporations like this throwaway concept. The average job in the retail industry in those trades is 29 hours a week at $8 an hour. That's not a living wage for working families. No wonder these companies want to take sides. No wonder they want the government to come in against American workers. They realize that this is not just a fight about UPS. This is a fight about the future of jobs in this country. The new AFL-CIO leadership and unions around the world understand that. And John Sweeney is with us today. And I want to express from deep appreciation, proud of what the labor movement is doing, and that comes from the entire Teamster family. We're getting the kind of support we need from the AFL-CIO and from all the unions throughout the country. Before we take any questions, I'd like to ask John Sweeney to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Ron. There are 3 points I would like to make. And the first one is that all union members and their unions, in fact, all American working families, are indebted to the Teamsters Union and to the nearly 200,000 courageous workers who make this company, like Rachel and Zeke have told us, who make this company work day in and day out, who are now out on strike. This struggle is about the basic issues faced by every worker in our economy. It's about part-time jobs and half-time pay. It's about eliminating family health care benefits. It's about increased outsourcing and decreased retirement security. It's also about a greedy, ugly, profitable employer who wants to make even more money by shortchanging workers on their wages, benefits, and by refusing to protect them from health and safety hazards on their jobs. The second point I want to make is that because their fight is our fight, we are making this strike our strike. I am making calls to all of the AFL-CIO union presidents and can tell you that before the week is out, we will have enough loan commitments from other unions, large and small, to finance the worker side of this confrontation for a long strike, if that's what it takes. Many, many weeks at $10 million a week. The third point I want to make is that it is now obvious to everyone that there is absolutely no grounds for the President of the United States to invoke the Taft-Hartley Act. This situation does not meet the legal standards. It is not like a strike in the defense industry. President Clinton has said this strike should be resolved at the bargaining table, and that's exactly right. President Clinton needs to let UPS know definitively that he will not be providing an escape hatch for UPS negotiators and management. Once it is made clear to these giants of private enterprise that they can't count on a rescue by the government, they will bargain in good faith, and the strike will soon be over. So the hardworking men and women, like Zeke and Rachel, of the UPS can get back to the jobs they do so well. Thank you.
Thank you.
And now we'll take questions.
UPS said this morning that if the strike continues to the end of this week, that it would mean layoff of 15,000 Teamsters employees. Is that credible to you? And as a follow-up, would you be willing to let your rank and file vote in this contract as it stands?
First of all, I don't think it's accurate. It's pretty clear that not only the post office, but other companies really can't manage the volume. So it's pretty clear that that's not an accurate description of what's happening. With respect to voting on the contract, they already have. One could argue that the company at any time, even prior to the expiration date, whether that was March or April or May or June, said, this is our position, bring that back. They shouldn't be dictating, they should be negotiating. This is a contract, clearly, that does not serve the needs of American working families, certainly doesn't serve the needs of our members.
May I have one follow-up? Excuse me, Mr.
Yes.
Perry.
There's a lot here.
One of your officials today said the company was engaging in scare tactics with this layoff threat. Do you subscribe to that?
I think what they are doing is intimidation, it's threats. That won't get the job done. That's a mistake. And as they talk about replacing workers, this is a skilled group of workers that are hardworking, very intelligent, have a great deal of skill, and certainly replacement workers won't serve their needs. Yes, sir.
Sort of a follow-up to that, would you say that the company is not losing enough business, probably on a permanent basis, that would be tantamount to 15,000 jobs? Do you think they are not losing enough business, assuming the strike gets settled sometimes?
Well, first of all, when the strike gets settled, our members will go out there and work real hard to try to bring back that customer base. Our members are responsible for the growth of this company, for the $1 billion that they earned in profit. And all we have said straight through is create good full-time jobs where you can do that, where you've got 10,000 of them working over 35 hours a week. And so I don't know the answer to that question. I suspect once we get back, so will the business get back, and we will do everything we can.
Harry, what impact will it have on the finances of your union to borrow $10 million a week?
Our union is not a business. It doesn't depend upon profit. The monies that are in this union are for the interest of the membership. The money should be used to take on the tough fights, what's happening to working people today. A good example is that if in fact you get to the table on these issues, the first thing you hear about is that if you don't accept this offer, we'll ship your jobs to Mexico. And if that isn't good enough, we'll even consider replacing you. So that every time workers try to stand up and fight for their future, for good, decent jobs, we've got companies that can't shift to Mexico, that certainly replacement workers won't work out for them. So what do? They run to the government and ask them to bail them out. Fact of the matter is, they have been the major violator of health and safety in this country. They have been fined time and time again. And when that happens, UPS says, wait a minute, there's too much government. There's too much bureaucracy. We don't need the government in our business. But, however, today they are saying, come in, settle it. Well, I don't think the government should bail them out. I don't think anybody should. The bailout is at the bargaining table. The bailout is looking at the issues that are so vital to working people in this country, and they have a responsibility to do that.
Mr. Kerry, how many people voted to authorize the strike? One of the things that UPS people have said is that they've got to compete with FedEx, who is trying to take their core business. And of course, FedEx is non-union. What do you say about having your union workers compete with non-union workers?
Every time that we have discussed the area of competition, the area of operating needs, we have been responsive. We responded when the company said it had to subcontract out work. We have said there's a way to do this and still keep it under the UPS banner. The way to do that is to consider sleeper teams. Obviously, that's not something that we're excited about, but it is a way to deal with their operating problems. So in every area where the company has raised issues, we have been responsible, we have been considerate of their operation and their needs, and have responded accordingly. Obviously, the company isn't interested in that. They want it all their own way. And as a result, that's not the way it's going to be.
Sir, how much financial support are you expecting?
A question directed to the rank and file people on either side of you. I'd like to get a feel for what is the mood among the people who are picketing, your fellow UPS workers. What is the mood? Are people positive, upbeat, or is there perhaps some talk of getting discouraged? How are they taking it?
I think for the most part we're taking it very well. There are other rank and file members that I brought with me that work with me out of my building. Of course we're scared. We're scared to death. But if they think we're going to back down, I'd like to address one question to Jim Kelly, and that would be when he refers to his so-called employees, he refers to us in a third party. Every time I've seen him in the press and on the news, and anybody's covered him, he's referred to me as a third party. I am a Teamster. I am the Teamster he's talking about. Here's the Teamster he's talking about. These are the board members of the Teamsters and labor organizations across the country. We are the Teamsters. We are the people he's referring to. We took the vote. All of us that went down there and had an interest took a vote. We did what we needed to do. We're securing our future and the future of our families. We're not out here getting skin cancer for nothing.
Follow-up question about financial hardship and what the additional assistance from the AFL-CIO, what that would mean to you as you try to pay your bills, etc.
It'll mean a lot, but also I'm a person that knows how to survive, and if I can't get my money through them, I'll have to look at other options as time goes on, and that I'm willing to do. But this is not about money. It's not nobody's wages seem to be the biggest press issue. It's not about wages. It's not about the money. We're not out here for $55 a week. We're not out here for $75 a week. We appreciate them helping us out, but for the ones who believe in what we're doing, it's not about the money. And for 90%, it's not about money.
Mr. Kerry, the company says that this fight is more about control of the pension plan than about part-time workers. What do you say to that?
That's a smokescreen. It's not broke. Why would they want to try to fix it? Why would you fix something that's not broke? So when you boil that down, what you find is, what's the company's interest? The company's interest is to get its hands on the investment income and funnel that back into their pockets, not back into the funds for the participants, for the members who worked hard. All of that money that goes into these funds have been calculated, have been costed out, and as a result, it's their money. That money that goes back in is used to increase benefits, it's used for adjustments for retirees, it's used for protection against ever-increasing health care, so it serves its purpose. If that was under the company fund, obviously what would take place, since the company would control it, they would administer it, is that those benefits would then start being lowered. Yes, sir.
Kerry, we've been offered financial support from other unions. Do you anticipate any sort of other support actions other unions might take in conjunction with it and their dealings with UPS? How the secondary?
We have been talking about that, different tactics, different strategies, different ways to help us. And as John Sweeney indicated, all the CLCs around the country, all the different affiliates are looking at ways to be of assistance. I think if you go down on the picket line, you will not just find Teamsters. You will find housewives who maybe are not even involved in the union. You will find the pilots. You will find the machinists. This is a fight not just about Teamsters. This is a fight about good, decent jobs that American working families deserve. And it can be done. The company can. Look at those proposals. There is a reasonable solution there. Next question, yes?
Member of either of the two workers. UPS says that by taking over the pension fund, it could increase benefits anywhere from 50% to, in some cases, 300%. Is that not an issue for you? I know the lady said that she's going to retire, or gentlemen. Wouldn't you like to see your pension benefits increase 50%?
I would love to if those were the facts. Those are not the facts. I don't know why the company hasn't taken a look at the increases that have been made in Local 639's pension plan in just the last couple of years or so. Obviously, they haven't done their homework. We can't get them to put a member on the board so that they can know what's going on.
I think if you look at some of those pension plans, in fact, this particular plan far exceeds the company's proposal. However, the company has an opportunity and had an opportunity to put its pen where its mouth is. And the example of the part-time pension plan is that over the last 8 years, they have not increased that pension plan. Someone who is there at age 20, who works 30 years, gets $88 a month.
And you were asking about 55?
Gary, are you satisfied with the job that Alexis Herman and the Department of Labor has done thus far? Is there anything else you'd like to see from that side?
Well, from the government side, obviously I would not want them to come in and bail UPS out. I think the answer is at the bargaining table. Alexis Herman, the Secretary of Labor, is trying to get the parties together to look at some of the issues, as well as the chairman of Federal Mediation, John Wells. And so, look, I encourage that. I wasn't the one who left Saturday and said, I'm off to Atlanta. The company did. And so we think the company ought to negotiate full-time as opposed to part-time.
Sure. Mr. Kerry, what do you say to some of your members who say they want to vote on this proposal, no matter what the number of members is? What do you say to those members who say they want to vote on this?
Well, we have Bob here who has a similar situation. Bob Miller from the Pilots Union, president of the Pilots Union.
Yes, in answer to the voting question, I can only state our experiences with the company, and they seem to take a take-it-or-leave-it approach when they're negotiating. We're still in contract negotiations. We're recessed right now. But when they gave their last and best and final offer to us and laid it on the table and said, that's it, our executive board said we can't recommend it, but we would take it out to the membership for a vote with no comment. At that point, the company took the offer off the table, requested a release from mediation, which means that the 30-day clock could start ticking toward a strike, and that was in April. Had it not been for the mediation board, we would be on strike already. The mediation board placed us in recess. So in answer to the voting question, the company, when we offered to take it out to membership, wouldn't allow us to do it and took it off the table and has not put it back on the table.
Mr. Kerry, what would it take to get your side back to the table? What is it the company must do to get your side back?
Show up.
I think that about sums it up. I think the bargaining will take place at the table. It will not take place with intervention by the government, bailing this company out.
Would you agree to a binding arbitration?
No, I don't think that'll answer the question. I think it has to be settled by the parties. I think in every instance we've tried to be responsive to their operating needs, to their competitive needs. This is a question of corporate greed. It's that simple. I mean, you have, for example, when you look at what the union is concerned about, 60% of the workforce is part-time, low wage. Over the past contract, they hired 183,000 employees. And of the 183,000, many of them were part-timers, the majority certainly was, and only 40,000 stayed. What is that saying? What does that do for productivity? What does that do to make this company successful? It just doesn't make any sense. Some of the things that we've talked about are responsible positions. The company is not used to negotiating a contract across the table. It has historically always had someone come in and bail them out. Well, they have to be told no one will bail them out except getting to that table and negotiating a contract that's fair for both sides.